Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And I am so happy to have joining me today, James Harnett. Everyone, welcome James to our live today. Hello, James.
Hi, Krylios. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Nice to have you here. Now, please tell our audience, who you are and what you're running for.
Sure. So my name's James Harnett, and I'm running for the State Board of Education in DC in Ward 2 this November. I'm a college student and have been fighting as an ANC commissioner in Foggy Bottom for 2.5 years, representing the voices of students. And I want to take that fight to the students of our DC public schools and students across the city.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me about some of the issues that you've identified that you think you want to tackle if you were elected to be on the Board of Education.
Sure. So there are a lot of really important priorities that students have in this election. We don't see enfranchised student representation on the school board. We see a lot of retired teachers, a lot of folks that have given a lot to DCPS and to our public schools for decades. But it's tough to see folks that are actually stepping up to represent the voices of students, and it's even tougher for those folks to get elected. Somebody who's done a great job of that in the last 4 years, in my view, is Marcus Batchelor, representing Ward 8. He's been a product of DCPS and has been a really tough advocate for students. And now that he's running for the council, I want to make sure that we're continuing that fight and making sure that students' voices are being represented in the policy conversations that are happening on the state board.
Very important, very, very, very important. Now tell me how, August is upon us, the school year is about to start again. We're still going through this pandemic. Tell me about that. Tell me about your thoughts on that and how that affects your priorities running for, State Board of Education.
Sure. Well, it's a really great question, and I think really central to this election and making sure that we're really representing everybody we need to as we move forward. I think the biggest failure of DCPS and frankly the mayor, because the mayor is the one that controls our public schools, not the State Board of Education, even though folks are fairly confused, rightly so. When you elect members of the State Board of Education, you'd think that they have some level of control over how our schools operate, especially as we return to the classroom virtually, but that's really not the case. The state board is a mostly advisory body that pioneers work through its advocacy and through its ability to bring people together. And so my job, as if I was elected, God willing, to be on the State Board of Education, my job is to make sure that those voices are being represented and heard by the other elected officials in this city that really do have the power to make these decisions, to make sure we're elevating teachers' concerns, folks that are over the age of 65, folks that have pre-existing conditions, folks that have concerns of family members. We've got students that live with their parents and grandparents, and we don't want them to be bringing back the virus to those households because those are the most vulnerable folks among us. And we've seen through I think the efforts of the state board in the last few months to really elevate those voices that we now find ourselves in a situation where the mayor has decided we're going to stay fully online at least through November. I don't know that that would have happened if it wasn't thanks to the work of the state board in elevating the voices of the folks that have been left out in the mayor's reopening conversation and then moving forward as a decision was made. And we're seeing, even to this day, resources that are not being used, in my mind, effectively to make sure that we're elevating all the students that we need to make sure that they can participate as full-fledged members of the classroom by making sure they have devices, making sure that at home they have access to internet. 6,000 families in DC don't have high-speed internet. 3,000 don't have internet at all. And almost half of DCPS students don't have access to a reliable laptop device that can allow them to get into the classroom. And the work that we're doing as a city hasn't done enough to make sure that we're elevating the voices of the folks that have been most left behind.
Mm-hmm. Wow, definitely, definitely. And what makes you the person to take this charge? Why should voters choose you? Why are you the man for this?
Well, it's another great question. And frankly, one that I spent a lot of time thinking about whether I was going to run for this seat or not. Mm-hmm. And the determination that I came to with the support of friends and community members was that we need students to be representing students' priorities on the state board and the current structure of how the state board operates, and that we don't provide voting representation for the 2 students that are actually elevated as non-voting members. We don't have a structure for DCPS teachers to actually be involved in the state board because they're barred from running for the State Board of Education, unlike charter school teachers, unlike private school teachers. And I think that's where a lot of the root inequities in how we've built our education system in this city evolves from, and the fact that the mayor's office and the office of the state superintendent of education and the deputy mayor for education and the chancellor, who are all sort of in this bubble of folks that get to make these decisions about our schools, they're all only accountable to the mayor. We don't have an oversight body, a true oversight body in this city that is able to be a check and to be a balance on these other entities. And as a student representing students for the last 2.5 years on the ANC in Faki Bottom, I've been elevating the voices of young people and students into government. And I've seen firsthand how we push back against students' priorities and how important it is to have young people and to have students on our bodies of local government to advocate for their priorities and to make sure that they're being heard.
Sounds good, definitely. Now tell our viewers how they can support you, how they can keep up with you and follow you on your way to the School Board of Education, to the State Board of Education.
Sure. So I think first and foremost, a lot of the really great conversations I've had have been one-on-one with folks, one-on-one with students, one-on-one with teachers and families and parents and folks all across the city. So frankly, the best way to get in touch with me is to shoot me an email, because I'm really responsive and I want to make sure that we're having a lot of these individualized conversations so that not only can I understand the voices of the folks I'm trying to represent, but I can also understand the stories of the folks of the lives that I haven't lived. I'm not assuming that I understand where everybody comes from and understands what drives folks to be involved in education. And the best way for me to do that is to listen and to elevate their concerns and voices. And that's how I've been a really effective commissioner. And that's how I want to be an effective state board member. So shoot me an email. I'm at us@jamesforward2.com. You can also read our platform, jamesforward2.com, or follow me on Twitter at JAR Harnett, where I'm really active. And those are really great avenues to get in touch with me and to listen to, I think, the stories that I'm trying to elevate, and also get a sense of the priorities that I'm going to be pushing forward as we look at reopening schools in person, as we look at what are the long-term systematic challenges that exist in our city that we must solve, and that we must use the opportunity that this crisis presents to make sure don't perpetuate well into the future. Inequity existed before coronavirus happened, and we didn't do a good enough job as a city in addressing that. And now is our chance to really move the ball forward and to shift the Overton window of what we think is possible.
100%. Thank you so much, James, for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure having you here. Wish you the best of luck. And to our viewers, the website link and all other links will be in the description below. Thank you so much, James. And to our viewers, thanks you.
Krylios, and thanks to Team Racine.
Of course, thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Bye.